and he is a king. So we see here kings. We see wicked kings, the kings who enslave and push down and take what they want by force because they want it. And we also see the kings whose subjects are jovial. They walk with arms swinging and whistles in the air. You're one of the two. The world says there's like 50 different options. At the end of the day, there are only two. You're subject of one, the kings of Narnia, or you're subject of the kings of Tashbarn and the Tisroc. I'd much rather be a subject of the free people of Narnia than of Tashbarn, even if there's no Narnia to speak of. For those of you who are book nerds, you recognize what I'm saying. So, we meet God, and we're afraid of God because we're in the mountains and we're alone, and we didn't know what we were looking for. This is the story of a conversion. Every man who knocks on the door of a brothel is seeking God, according to G.K. Chesterton. And he's a smart guy, so I like to steal his lines. We're seeking the good. We're seeking virtue. We're seeking fulfillment. We don't know where to find it yet. We're seeking Narnia. We don't actually know where Narnia is. It's the north. Well, which way's north? Who here's good directions? There are three directions I've seen. I'm seeing this general area. Okay, well, if I start walking here, I'm going to end up at a very different place than if I just do this. North is very, very vague. So, be better, be virtuous, be good, cool. How? You forgot to mention how. My spiritual director used to get very upset at me because I'd always ask him how in our meetings. He'd be like, well, you should try to grow in humility. I failed. You should try to grow in humility. I was like, how? How do I do this? And he's like, you just do. And I'm like, yeah. Give me something concrete, please. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be like, I don't know what to do because nothing's really changed because I don't know how to do this. Other than, ignore everybody and be like, don't talk to me. I'm being humble. But even that isn't very humble. So what do I do? So what do we do? How do we seek what is actually good? I covered this with my confirmation class recently. It was a delightful class. I love them very much. Well, first you have to test the desire. Is your desire good? Should you desire this thing? The majority of the time, that answer will be yes. Most of your desires are aimed towards a good. So, okay, good. What are your desires? Are they good? More than likely, yes. Okay. Should I give into it right now? That's the real clincher. Again, when teaching, you give very, very extravagant, extreme examples to illustrate your point. I apologize in advance. The marital act is a good thing if you're married. It's a desire, it's a natural desire, it's a good desire. Cool. Desire it? Yes. Should you do it? Well, are you married? Yes. Is it with the one to whom you're married to? Yes. Good. Is it at the right time, though? My old theology professor gave this hilarious but shocking example, saying the desire for the spouse is good. So say you're on vacation and you're delighting in your spouse and you wish to engage in the act with your spouse. Well, that's good. It's not good to do it in the hotel lobby. So there is a time and a place. We have to test that. It's not always going to be as cut and dry as that. So you can't just live by impulses. To go into what my degree is in, my degree is in philosophy, and so I like to draw on that as much as I can without sounding too pompous. There are three parts of the soul. according to ancient philosophy. The appetitive, so the appetites, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. The irascible, that's just your emotions. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm happy. And then there's the rational. This third one is your reason and your logic, the greatest gift that God gives you, and it's meant to rule the others. If you ignore reason and say, yes, but I want this now, as Rabadash does, saying, well, I want it, so I'm going to go do it. I want it, so I'm going to go take it. Well, all of a sudden, you're not following reason, you're following your emotions. As anyone who's ever walked the non-Christian road can tell you, it's not a good feeling. I was an atheist for several years, and I was ruled by my emotions. I want, I take. I want a third bowl of ice cream? Well, why not? There's no God. Why is it wrong? And even if there's a God, I want it. And that becomes your supreme good. I want it, so I will take it. I want it, so I will have it. And then one day you wake up and you look at yourself and you say, oh my goodness, I have a disordered soul. The irascible and the appetitive parts of my soul, they're what I follow. Which is why we as Christians know the feeling very well of, why did I do that? I didn't even want to do that. But I do. Been a confession 3 weeks in a row with the exact same sin. Why? I don't even want to do it. But I did. So those little moments that we have to reflect and say, where in my life is the reason that God's given me not prevailing? And why? So now we know what we're seeking. We're seeking the good, and we know how to test the desire and the impulses. That's nice. That's all well and good. And we can do that apart from God. It's going to sound shocking to you that I'm saying this. You can do this apart from God. That's why Plato and Aristotle, this is their stuff. I wasn't citing Aquinas. I was citing polytheistic pagans when I just said all of this. Aquinas then said this is true, so I feel comfortable saying it. But they reached that conclusion just through reason. So you can get here apart from God. You can get to the mountains. He's in the north. Shasta made it. But he's not home yet. He's just not where he was. And so now he meets goodness. Goodness himself. God. He meets the lion. And this is really where the rubber hits the road. Because his first reaction is fear. His first reaction is, you're freaking me out. You're terrifying. Oh my gosh, you're some horrible evil spirit, aren't you? You're some disembodied dead person. Please go away. We can get somewhere. We won't get home. But at some point, you're comfortable not knowing where home is. It's the saying, better the devil you know than the angel you don't. This is that. And so he pushes God away, but God doesn't stop fighting for us. So Aslan immediately breathes on him, which scripturally is a very, very big deal. And so Aslan breathes on people a lot in the books. So a handful of times in scripture when it happens, it's a really big deal when it does. But it's meant to be soothing, comforting, and life-bringing. So he breathes on Shasta and he's like, you good now? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And his next thing isn't like, so, where are you from? What's new? It's not small talk. His next word is, tell me your sorrows. God doesn't ease into our lives. God isn't content to sit in the gold box and wait for us to approach him. He comes to us and he says, please, I beg of you, tell me your sorrows. because I understand them and I know them and I felt them. I felt them in my hands and my side and my head. I felt it on my shoulders. I walked up the mountain. I know. Please just tell them to me. Anyone who has ever dated or been married knows there are days in which you know something's wrong. The other one in your relationship is saying, it's fine. And you all laughed because you know it's true. And you look at them and eventually you get so upset, you're like, please, for the love of God, just tell me what it is. Because I know there's something and I want you to share it with me. I want you to tell me. Imagine how frustrating it must be being God of us. And he's still trying. And he still wants us. If he wasn't perfect, I'd worry for his mental health. He then says, I was the lion. All these things that you thought were bad. All these bad moments that make you say you're unlucky. All the lions that you met. They weren't bad. That was me. It was I. I was the only lion you met. So you met with Aravis. That was a good thing. You thought it was bad, though, because you didn't really like her, and it was lions that chased you together. Yes, I injured Aravis. It's revealed later on. When I can read that part, so I'll just tell you. It's revealed later on that someone who she had lied about, and they'd gotten in trouble, and they suffered a severe beating from their master because of it. He was saying, the wounds I inflicted upon you are an equal measure to what was inflicted upon her for your lies. So I was being just, balancing this scale. It is someone different, someone who, in the moment, we don't understand what's going on. Something bad happens, you're like, okay, well, this is horrible. How could this be good? And one day you look back and be like, actually, I'm happy that happened. When you look back, might not be in this life. Might be in the next. It was explained once in a superhero TV show. It was about a Catholic superhero, so it was good. Like this. God is the great carpet weaver. We see the tapestry from the back with all the threads and the weird, confusing colors. And we look and we say, how could this be good? Whereas God, the weaver, sees it from the other side and says, no, I can see what I'm making. And it is beautiful. And it is good. He refers to himself as myself, an obvious reference to Genesis. Moreover, we're going to go very, very fast because we only have a little bit left. We might go a little bit over time tonight. I apologize in advance. Not too far over, though. I want to focus very, very, very briefly on Aslan's greeting to Shasta. Shasta looks at him and finally says, but who are you? He says, one who has waited long for you to speak. That's quite literally all he wants. He just wants us to talk with him, to pray. And it's difficult. I work for the church, and there are some days when I'm like, I did like the bare minimum of prayer. I did like a few Hail Marys today, and that's about it. It's sometimes very difficult. That's all he wants. I don't mention this very often, but I once received the great gift of being able to hear a voice in adoration. It was beautiful and delightful. And it happened when they're about to expose the Blessed Sacrament. I was sitting there and I felt my heartbeat start to quicken a little bit. I was in seminary, it was my first year, and I was getting in the groove of things, and I was really excited because I was like, hey, I'm not terrified of Holy Hour anymore. And I was like, Lord, I'm actually excited to see you. This is amazing. I'm excited to see you, God. And I heard a voice, clear as day, say, why aren't you always? I am when I see you. And I mean, I was torn between being like, hi? And just feeling awful. And then later I reflected and was like, okay, well, he's actually saying something really nice. When we walk into the chapel, we walk into the church, he sees us and he's delighted to see you. But he's not going to force himself on you. We do have free will. So he waits in the silence for us to speak. And he will wait long just to hear you speak to him once. I'm going to very quickly read two last sections, not as long as the last one, summarize them, and then release you from this penitential evening. See, this is a fun time of year for me because if I start getting a little long-winded, I can just be like, it's Lent. Suffer.
Offer it up.
Exactly. So, Aslan does not only visit Shasta, he also visits Bree and Hwin and Aravis. Bree they cut his tail very short, like pack horses, in order to sneak through Tash Barn without people realizing he's a warhorse. And he keeps stalling, going the last mile to Narnia. And eventually they're like, why? It's because he's too proud to be seen in Narnia with an unkempt tail. And he starts, much like Shasta, lamenting his misfortune. You are silly, Bree, said Aravis. By the lion's mane, Tarkina, I'm nothing of the sort, said Bree indignantly. I have a proper respect for myself and for my fellow horses. That's all. Bree, I've been wanting to ask you something for a long time, but why do you keep swearing by the lion and by the lion's mane? I thought you hated lions. And so I do. But when I speak of the lion, of course I mean Aslan, the great deliverer of Narnia, who drove away the witch and the winter. All Narnians swear by him. So is he a lion? Oh, no, of course not, said Bree in a rather shocked voice. All the stories of him in Tash Barn say he is. Well, if he isn't a lion, then why do you call him a lion? Well, you'd hardly understand that at your age. I was only a little foal when I left, so I didn't quite fully understand it myself. No doubt, when they speak of him as a lion, they only mean he's as strong as a lion. To our enemies, of course, not to us. As fierce as a lion, or something of that kind. Even a little girl like you, Aravis, must see that it would be rather absurd to suppose that he is a real lion. Indeed, it would be disrespectful. If he was a lion, he'd have to be a beast just like the rest of us. And Bree began to laugh. If he was a lion, he'd have 4 paws and a tail and whiskers. Just as he said the word whiskers, one of Aslan's had actually tickled his ear. Bree shot away like an arrow on the other side of the enclosure, and there he turned. The wall was so high for him to jump, he could fly no farther. Aravis and Hwin both stared back. There was about a second of intense silence. Then Hwin, though shaking all over, gave a strange little neigh and trotted across to the lion. Please, you're so beautiful. You may eat me if you'd like. I'd sooner be eaten by you than fed by anyone else. Dearest daughter, said Aslan, placing a lion's kiss on her twitching velvet nose. I knew you would not be long in coming to me. Now, Bree, you poor, proud, frightened horse, draw near. Nearer still, my son. Do not dare to dare. Touch me, smell me, here are my paws, here is my tail, these are my whiskers, I am a true beast. This should sound familiar. Look at the wounds in my hand, come, place your hand in my side, see and believe. I am like you. in the incarnation, Christ became like us. How often do we, miserable creatures, try to explain away God? In fact, we see this very often in our progressive age. People will be like, oh, well, you see, God didn't really walk on water per se. It's a symbol of something else. Oh, he didn't multiply the loaves and the fishes. Everyone shared. That was the real miracle. Oh, well, God, if you say you believe in him, nothing bad will happen to you. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you sort of acknowledge he's kind of there. No. There's nothing else I can say to that. No. There's a hilarious cartoon that I saw. It was a female pastor in her big robes and a big pride flag behind her with a love is love banner and stuff. And she's got the Bible in her hand talking. She looks over and there's Jesus holding a whip from the Gospel of John staring at her, and she's like, who are you? Because we've changed the narrative. Well, not the Catholic Church. In a non-pompous way, everyone else has changed the narrative so much that it's no longer God. We've either made him too distant and said, oh, he's not really like us, he's different. Or we've said, he's completely like us, he's just like us, he's a man, and we can forget the whole God thing, but he's our buddy, our pal. Again, no. In the words of my generation, ugh. That's not who he is. That's not how he is. Yes, he loves us, and yes, he's a very, very funny person. He laughs very often when you tell him what you want to do with your life. But he also is wise and strong, and he has his own agenda. And he comes to us in might and power, desiring us to be one with him, not in a I'm your new best friend, let's go get drinks kind of way. In a, no, I am your God and your Father. Many people are on very good terms with their parents. Not everybody, but many people are. If you meet someone who's like, my mother is my best friend, you gotta stop for a second and go, really? Yeah, really? My dad and I are besties. I'm like, one, if you're a dude and you say bestie, you're losing something in regards to respect. But two, really? I get being on good terms with them. Me and my dad get along. We call every now and then and talk. And he came over for a weekend recently. It was nice. We're not friends. I still talk differently when I'm with my parents than I have to do with when I'm hanging out with my buddies. I still act different, and I'll share different things. And I'll talk in a different way. Because there will always be an element of, no, you're still my father, and there is a respect that doesn't go away, even if it's a different form of it now that I'm an adult and everything. But there's still a level of, we're not equal, so to speak. There's a deference surrounding you. God is described as Father for this very reason. Yes, we are close to him. Yes, we are one with him. We are not equal to him in any capacity. He is our Father, and there is a deference owed. One last quick section, and I will release you, I promise. I was going to combine this book with one of the other ones, but we're doing that next week instead. Next week will be a lot faster and a lot more painful for me. Not for you. You guys will probably still have a good time, I hope, but it'll be painful for me to have to skip through so much next week. Now, the last thing I want to focus on is the humbling of Rabadash. Rabadash attacked Archenland, he lost, and so now they're trying to find a suitable sentence for this horrid war criminal. Here we go. They're asking him for the conditions of his surrender, and Rabadash says, I hear no conditions from barbarians and sorcerers. Not one of you dare touch me, not even a hair of my head. Every insult you have heaped on me shall be paid with the oceans of Narnian and Archenlandish blood. Terrible shall be the vengeance of the Tisroc, even now. but kill me in the burnings and torturings of these northern lands. Shall become a tale to frighten the world 1,000 years hence. Beware, the bolt of Tash falls from above. Tash is the devil, just as a quick aside. He's the god of the Kulorman, but he's the devil. He's going to be a big character in a later book, so remember Tash. If you remember young Corin, the one who was Shasta's lookalike, he says, "Does it ever get caught in a hook halfway?" threatening to punch him in the face. Shame, Corin, never taunt a man save when he is stronger than you. Then, as you please. Once again, insulting Rapidash. "Oh, you foolish Rapidash," sighed good Queen Lucy. The next moment, Cor wondered why everyone at the table had risen and was standing perfectly still. Of course, he did the same himself, and then he saw the reason. Aslan was among them, though no one had seen him coming. Rapidash started as the immense shape of the lion paced softly in between him and his accusers. "Rapidash, take heed. Your doom is very near, but you may still avoid it. Forget your pride. What have you to be proud of? And your anger for who has done you wrong, and accept the mercy of these good kings." Then Rapidash rolled his eyes and spread out his mouth like a horrible, long, mirthless grin, like a shark, and wagged his ears up and down. Anyone can learn how to do this if you take the trouble. That's in parenthesis, by the way. I love Lewis's writings. He'd always found this very effective in Kulorman. The bravest had trembled when he made these faces, and ordinary people had fallen to the floor, and sensitive people had often fainted. But what Rapidash hadn't realized is that it's very easy to frighten people who know you can have them boiled alive the moment you give the word. The grimaces didn't look at all alarming in Archenland. Indeed, Lucy only thought Rapidash was going to be sick. "Demon! I know you. You are the foul fiend of Narnia. You are the enemy of the gods. Learn who I am, horrible phantasm. I am descended from Tash, the inexorable, the irresistible. The curse of Tash is upon you. Lightning in the shape of scorpions shall be rained on you. The mountains of Narnia shall be graved into dust. Have care, Rapidash," said Aslan quietly. "The doom is nearer now. It is at the door. It has lifted the latch." Rapidash continues, "Oh, let the skies fall and the earth gape. Let blood and fire obliterate the world." "The hour has struck," said Aslan, and Rapidash saw to his supreme horror that everyone had begun to laugh. They couldn't help it. Rapidash had been wagging his ears all the time, and as soon as Aslan said the hour has struck, the ears began to change. Rapidash had now been turned into simply and unmistakably a donkey. The terrible thing was that his human speech lasted just a moment longer than his human shape, so that when he realized the changes were coming, he screamed out, "Oh, not a donkey, mercy, if only it had been a horse," and then began to bleat. "Now hear me, Rapidash," said Aslan. "Justice shall always be mixed with mercy. You shall not always be an ass." Wonderful books. I love these books very much for many reasons. Justice shall always be mixed with mercy. So one, this person cursing God and his people is approached by God himself, and his first words are, "Okay, calm down. We want to be nice. Let us be nice. Accept the mercy we're offering you." Well, he keeps blaspheming. He says, "Okay, be very, very careful. Something bad is going to happen if you keep doing this." And he gives him small warnings as it goes. Your doom is closer. Oh, your doom is at the door. Your doom is opening the door. Well, now your doom is here. I told you so. You knew it was coming. and now it's here, but justice shall always be mixed with mercy. This is the beauty of our God. This is what I want to leave you with. This is why it's the last thing we're covering. He doesn't want us to remain, hopefully proverbially, an ass. He wants us to grow, to be perfected and purified. And through this desert of Lent, he gives us a very, very strong opportunity to enter into the spiritual stripping of our pride and arrogance and all other things we may struggle with. I'm just talking about myself here. And to throw ourselves at his mercy and say, no, please avert from me the doom I am so justly owed. And bring me into your marvelous light. I know this feeling very, very well because I was an ass in high school. And when I entered seminary, a guy from my parish called me before I left. And I went to his office. He was the DRE at the parish. And I sit down, he says, hey, so I just wanted to have a quick conversation before you go to seminary. I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, yeah, you're an ass and no one likes you. Those are his exact words. And I sat there and I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, yeah. In good news, though, you're young and you're going to seminary, so let them do their thing. Let them fix you. And so my very first meeting with my church director was literally me just sitting there going, I'm awful apparently, so like, do what you got to do. Like, help. Yes. We may not always have someone who's as blunt as that to tell us when we need to, get off of our arse and stop being one. But we will have God very, very mercifully and politely remind us here and there. Take his warnings when he gives them and let him bring you into his light, because it will be much better than otherwise. So do not be as Rabadash the ass. Be as Shasta, who found his home and lived as a true Narnian to the end of his days with his later wife, Aravis. The text itself says they argued so much they decided they may as well get married and do it in private. And so go forward this next week of Lent until I see you again with the cry in your heart to Narnia and the North. Good evening.